Sure. So this is actually him. This is Jean-Charles, my great-grandfather, who gave me his name. I never knew him. He passed before I was born. Um, Jean-Charles had a very strong character. I say very often that my only luck was that the bakery went on fire, so he had to look for another job. And because he used yeast to make his bread, he could understand the fermentation process. And of course, he had some vines on the side, as many people from Pauillac had in those days. So he knew about viticulture. And moving from the bakery, he had to find another job. So he first began as a bank clerk. And from being a bank clerk, he understood that he could sell insurance policies, biking around in the Médoc and seeing the chateau owners and making contacts like this. And that's it. In 1933, he came. He made contact with the owner of Lynch Bages, who was from an old family, but was struggling to manage the vineyard. And this person offered him to take over the property. Being a farmer, for him at the property, the rent would be set at 0. The only condition was to keep the vine in production. So that's how really he got involved at Lynch Bages in 1933. And in the 1930s, during the years after the crash, it was a Great Depression. 16 out of 18 classified groves in Pauillac went on for sale. So that tells how distressed the vineyards were back in those days, and how come a broken baker from very humble roots could become a chateau owner. So he started the family history at Lynch Bages. My great-grandfather was born. You can see my grandfather. I'm sorry, the one in the middle, or the one in the bottom, André. Joined him after the war. He was a prisoner in Germany for 4 years during the war and came back after. It was difficult.
That was André, Jean-Charles' son.
That was André. The picture you have at the top is my father, my grandfather, and me as a kid. I was probably 8 years old back in those days.
And so André. Yeah, so he was in prison during World War II, really.
He was in prison. He was an officer in the French army. He got caught and was sent to prison for 4 years. He came back. He was pretty weak, but he bounced back and started working with his father, with Jean-Charles, taking over the insurance business. But they would not work together on the wine side, because it was very difficult to work along my great-grandfather. So they decided to have different part of the family business. And André also became mayor of Pauillac at that time, early 50s. And he stayed mayor of Pauillac for just 42 years, which is quite a long period for.
He also married your parents, correct?
He definitely married my parents. He married the whole family back in those days. My aunts and some of my cousins as well.
Yeah, part of the official treaty.
Voilà, and those were the days. You have pictures from the 80s here. My father joined in 1973. He was trained as an engineer in petroleum engineering. He graduated from a French engineering school and did a master's degree at the University of Austin, Texas.
There's a great part of the book that talks about how he ended up in Texas, which by the way,
that's right. It was not common. That was in the 50s and was not so common for French students to go abroad like this. He got a scholarship from the Rotary
Right.
which made connection for him in Texas, and he has kept all his life great memories of his days in the U.S. and that also the reason why he was so attracted by the U.S. market when he joined the family business in the 70s and started to preach over the world the qualities of the wines of Bordeaux.